You are listening to Ask the Answers podcast. Join me, Adele Gabain, as I uncover the knowledge, inspiration, and empowerment the psychic world has to offer. Let's begin. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ask the Answer, your spiritual family, the podcast with Adele Gabain. And today, our guest psychic medium, soul seer, and best-selling author, we've got Claire Broad joining me today. Hello, Claire.
Hi, Adele. Hi to all your viewers, listeners. Thanks for having me.
It's so lovely to have you on board. I've heard all about you. So I'm dying to, well, I say all about you. I know a little bit about you, but we're going to find out so much more today.
Thank you.
So, Claire, let's go from the beginning. Obviously, first time talking to you, there's so much we want to learn and find out. How did you know, first of all, that you had psychic abilities? Let's start from the get-go.
Okay. Well, I didn't know because it's been with me since I was literally probably born, to be honest. When I was about the age of 2, I started to point out to my mum about people standing in the room that she couldn't see. I was pointing to a man in my bedroom all the time, saying he was there. We now believe that is my spirit guide. But at the time, we thought it was a gentleman that had died in the house prior to us buying it. So at the age of 4, I was standing in Richmond Cemetery. My granddad had died about a year before. My nan and my mum were at the cemetery putting flowers down, tidying up his little plot where he'd been cremated. And I was playing with a vase and stones and water and things. And I felt my granddad come all around me, enveloped all over me with his energy. And then I heard him saying, "Claire, tell Nanny, Granddad says I love you, Ive."
Oh my God.
I know. And I was, I was far too young to have any kind of emotional maturity.
Yeah.
So I didn't care for telling my nan that. I was playing. So I'm saying, no, thanks.
Wow.
So it was just coming stronger and stronger. "Claire, tell Nanny, Granddad says I love you, Ive." In the end, I stood up, I shouted it across. My mum and my nan were standing at a gate. I'll never forget it. I mean, I was barely 4, right?
Yeah.
Her face just went, my mum's mouth dropped, because I later learned my nan was called Ivy. But no one was allowed to call her that. Everybody called her Connie because she didn't like it. But my mum called her Mum. I called her Nanny. Only my granddad was allowed to call her Ive. So
that was his way of getting the message across that she would know it's definitely him.
Yeah, exactly. She lived till 92 and it stayed with her the whole time.
Wow.
So it's been with me since I was little, but I didn't think anything of it really, particularly. It wasn't like I was seeing or hearing dead people all the time. In my teenage years, I started to get a lot of paranormal phenomena happening. I started seeing a Native American man standing at the end of my bed, which was really frightening. So I saw a medium, and she at the age of 19, she basically said, "You need to come under my guidance. I need to teach you." So I've been doing this professionally now 27 years.
Wow.
So a lifetime's journey.
Yeah. I mean, why do you think, for a lot of children, like you said there, they don't know any different. So it's quite natural. They're hearing, they're seeing things. People a little bit older, it can be sometimes thinking, is that their imagination? Is it the real deal? How can you distinguish whether that is spirit or, a soul connection? How do you know that it's for real?
Well, I guess you don't at first with children. The main thing to do if a child is saying things to you like this is don't poo-poo it, and also don't encourage it, if that makes sense. Just say, "Oh, that's interesting." Let them just express themselves. Because what will happen is over time, the evidence will show itself. So like I was giving information that I shouldn't have known, if that makes sense, or I didn't know. And same with any kind of soul connection is a completely different ball game. A soul connection because it has a depth to it. There is an energy exchange that's happening that is absolutely beyond the norm of interacting with. It's all energy anyway, but it's beyond the norm of a normal what we call a normal relationship. So we can dive into that. But with regards to kids, I mean, their brains only operate in delta brainwave patterns and theta brainwave patterns when they're very young. It's not until we're 6 years old that we develop beta brainwave and ability to be critically thinking.
Yeah.
And they've done scientific studies on mediums, and they found that mediums are in theta brainwave patterns when they work. So I believe that children are naturally in the right frequency for seeing and hearing and experiencing the spirit world around them. And I guess for some of us, we learn to be able to move or shift the gear stick or change gears into theta, and so we can still perceive it all.
How nice that you're able to do that, though, to give that reassurance, or to give that person that peace of mind, or for them maybe that goodbye that they needed for them to be able to move on to just to get that just that peace within themselves.
I mean, it's wonderful, isn't it? Really, we don't know the half of our reality. We generally don't. But my work as well has become so much more expanded now, because it is obviously about the soul connections. It's about the soul path, why the soul's here, our eternal nature. So I'm giving them that validation, giving clients that validation, but I'm also giving them, the spirit world are giving me a whole lot more, especially on the understanding now about the eternal nature of the love bonds we share. Because this is the thing, isn't it? People are coming to see me because they want to know that love is still there, that they haven't lost it ultimately, and they'll see them again. But spirit world are sharing with me why it is that love is there, the energetics behind it, what creates a soul connection, what the soul bonds mean, why it is these relationships can be so challenging, the different types of relationships, so that we can have real confidence that, we are eternal, they're there, and this is the kind of reason why we came together. This is what we achieved. This is what we're going on to achieve, or this is what we've now got because of it. So, it's beautiful. It seems too good to be believed, really, for a lot of people, but it is how the universe works. We are the universe experiencing itself.
So obviously you said it's two different things, obviously the mediumship side and then the soul connection. So it's not people that have passed away that have come back that you have that soul connection with, that you've met before. Is it something different? Or
it is. No, it can be. Basically, all of our I've come to learn that when we come into this lifetime, we are born into a lifetime deliberately choosing the right, or the soul does. We don't consciously choose it, but our soul knows the conditions that we're going to need, including the parents or the family situations. So, for instance, we might birth in with soul family that we are with in the spirit world, or we might come into families that are what I call earth families. We're biologically born through them, but we don't have the soul vibe. So you'll recognize it straight away. You'll know, because you hear people say things like, friends of the family you choose for yourself. These are the people that have been born into a family they just don't vibe with. Their friends are in their soul family. They've got the soul bonds there. Soul family, very, very intimate together, can be sometimes very, nothing's going on outside of them in the real wide world, because it's so harmonious between them, or the lessons they've come to learn are within that little group. And then, of course, within that, you've got things like soulmates, and that is not always romantic. So soulmates will recognize each other. Can I just say as well, I really don't like all of the sort of Hollywoodized, sickly sweet bun approach to soul connection. It's tough. So soulmates, either romantic or as friends, they meet each other and they remember each other. That's the true marker of a soulmate connection. They have done many lifetimes together. They've worked through a lot of their issues. They've come more into unconditional love of each other. When they meet each other, it's joyful, and they're like, there you are, and you're vibing together. True soulmate.
Yeah. And you do find that sometimes, don't you? Say, I feel like I've known you forever, like that instant connection that you do have with some people.
Absolutely. You don't even have to say anything to them. What's going on is an energy exchange where you just recognize each other's frequency. It's harmonious, and you just get it. And you get each other, but also the love just is. This is where I'm saying it goes beyond the normal relationship. So
Hmm.
your mind is trying to keep up with what's going on here. I Why do I feel like I literally know this person? I'm remembering them. And
Hmm.
that's a wonderful experience to have, because it's showing you that you're more than this physical body. What part of you is remembering them? That's
Hmm.
your eternal part of you that has lived before. It's your personal evidence that you're much more than this physical body.
Hmm.
It goes
And
beyond logic.
is there always a lesson to be learnt with a soul connection, or not necessarily?
Oh, totally. Oh, there's always lessons with them all. So I teach it. I try to keep my teachings really simple,
Mm-hmm.
but so I've broken it down into sort of very simplified categories. Okay, but obviously the universe is complex, so I break it down into catalyst and karmic type of connections. These are intense love connections that you come together and it's just wonderful at first. Okay, so karmics are always full of red flags, but because you come together and you're recognizing each other from previous lifetimes, there's that, oh, there you are feeling. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you're vibing together, it's wonderful, and then there's a whole shed load of red flags, but you go on and you ignore them all because they're here to teach you the tough lessons that you haven't yet
Right.
mastered in yourself. So, and catalysts even more powerful. They're, oh god, if you have a cat, it's going to turn your life upside down. They're the kind of tower moments where it's all going to come crashing down, the carpet's pulled from under your feet.
Uh-huh.
The love is absolutely pure soul love, source energy. It will blow your mind. It will go up like a firework, and it will be over and done with within days or weeks, but you'll be changed for life. Those two relationships are all about learning love of self, unconditional love of self, because they're going to show you everything within you that you haven't yet mastered.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we also have, on the flip side, life partners, which I love, and romantic soulmates or soulmates. Life partners differ from romantic soulmates. Life partners are opposites attract. They
Mm-hmm.
come together very gradually. Sometimes they may even split up a couple of times, come back together, or they just cannot move apart.
Mm-hmm.
Their soul bond is through opposites learning from each other. Why they're wonderful is because you are opposite, you give each other freedom. So these dynamics are fantastic. This should
Mm-hmm.
be on Hollywood, right? This should be
Yes.
Hollywood movie stuff. Because they give you the space. Say you want to be a surgeon, for instance, and you're going to have to dedicate to a cause or a job that's going to take your time up. The soul partner is going to be there. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the life partner is going to be there, but they'll allow you all the freedom you need. Because you're opposite, you need space,
Yeah.
but you just don't come apart. Romantic soulmates, highly codependent. They're two souls coming to live like one on earth. An wonderful loving bond, but they do everything: eat together, sleep together, work together, holiday together, don't want to ever
Yeah.
be without each other. These are the people that die at the same time. They piggyback deaths. They've come in to be together. They don't want to be here without each other.
Yeah.
Both those connections are about unconditional love of another. And then, of course, we've got the twin soul, which is a whole other bag.
So, I mean, if I didn't know much about, well, I don't know much about the soul connections, but just your everyday person, from what you're saying, a lot of them would go into maybe looking more at people's star signs. Oh, it's because we have that fire energy that we get on, and looking more into the star sign aspect than maybe looking too much into the soul side. How would you explain that to somebody?
Well, I guess our soul comes in anyway at a particular time and space that's right for us, and I guess that's mapped within the fabric of the universe. So it isn't about chucking out your love of astrology,
Yeah.
because we are interrelated with the whole of the universe, but
Hmm.
ultimately we are source energy. We are energy, and that energy is consciousness and is light, and that electromagnetic life force, which is you,
Mm-hmm.
is recorded for you travel throughout space and time. You're traveling throughout all those. So for instance, in answer to your question, in simplistic terms, in this lifetime you could be a Leo, but you have
Mm-hmm.
had loads of lifetimes where you would have been
Right.
completely different other star signs.
Yeah.
Your soul energy is the accumulation of all of that experience. It's your depth, the recording of everything that
Yeah.
you are. And so you have what I've been told by spirit is that you have your own unique soul frequency.
Mm-hmm.
The soul comes away from source, but in order to have any experience at all in this lifetime, it separates into a duality of polarity. So electromagnetic energy, and that's what a twin soul is. So the soul it will have to have a dual aspect to itself, a mirror aspect, to be able to experience anything at all, because as we come away from singularity, we come away into separation from it all. And then those two exactly same soul frequencies, twins,
Mm-hmm.
travel through space and time, meeting other souls, being in other soul groups. And this is how this is very simple, I get it, but we got to keep it simple, right? Especially for my head. We travel through space and time. We are beyond space and time, and put us all together, of course, and we're all collectively one.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have all these different relationships that are eternal when we form strong, unconditional love bonds.
Mm-hmm.
They are energetic ties. We cannot lose those loves. We travel through lifetimes choosing each other, magnetically drawn to each other because it's energy and frequency, ultimately,
Mm-hmm.
and having experiences that basically evolves life, universe, the all that is, however you want to put it. It's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, tough, hard, a lot of suffering involved. And especially if you ever come across your twin soul, oh my God. I mean, I think, probably worse than a catalyst connection, because it is so paranormal. And
Mm-hmm.
it is going to absolutely wake you up to your soul self. And it's going to shine a light on all the falseness that you have believed yourself to be. Really, really tough.
Will you always come across that in your lifetime?
No.
Okay.
So twin souls they are magnetized to each other. Sometimes they'll come across each other, and because they're the same soul energy but complete opposites. So for instance, hot and cold equals temperature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Up and down equals distance. You got to have that aspect, but because you're opposites, until you've done the inner work in yourself, in other words, until you've recognized that you're unconditional love. And when I say that, I mean that's an energy.
Mm-hmm.
We experience it as an emotion in our body because it affects us chemically, but that's an energy.
Mm.
When you start to understand you start to draw your twin back towards you, because both you and them are becoming back to oneness. So most people meet their twin souls at certain times in their lives. They do journey together, but they may repel each other. They'd be really, if you haven't yet found your worth inside, your twin's going to mirror back to you perfectly everything you're not, because they are the other bit that's missing.
Yeah.
So you're just going to fall out. And it'll be the most intense love you've ever experienced, because it literally is pure, unconditional love in its purest form. But
Mm-hmm.
because of that love, it's going to show you every fear, every flaw, everything that you haven't yet sorted within yourself about loving others unconditionally and yourself. And so they're so hard. Most people repel. However, the good news is, I know this because I've met my own, and it was a journey that I don't wish on anybody, but the most amazing journey as well. This is what
Mm-hmm.
makes me, when people say they want to meet their twin flame, I'm like, be careful what you wish for. Uh,
Yeah.
but my twin soul and I have been paired up together now in this lifetime to work together. When you can do that, despite all the triggering, and literally be unconditionally loving, so no expectation, no need, no want from the other person,
Yeah.
it is incredible. But it is not about romance, it's
I was
about
about to say
spiritual.
that. Is it a romantic connection?
People say it is, and people will tell you to their blue in the face that they've had a romantic connection, because the energies coming together are so powerful that it's love they've never experienced.
Mm.
It isn't. It isn't. Those connections rarely last. They're confusing it because they're trying to box it into a material image or a, sort of a societal norm.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual awakening. It's the soul trying to go back to source. It's the soul blending with oneness of everything, and the two of you recognizing that. It's
Yeah.
hugely confusing, and you will be having past life recognitions, kundalini awakenings, which is this source energy that is as real as anything, absolutely tears through your body. It is very uncomfortable. I was stuck for a year in a state that I grappled with reality for a while. There will be a push pull. There will be energetics. It's all energy. You'll be able to feel them when they're not there. A whole load of crazy will unfold, and you will be questioning your sanity, because they are you. And that's the head spinner. That's all about losing, and that's all about coming into what's known as separation consciousness, but realizing there's no such thing as separation from any of us, that we can never lose the loves we have, that we don't die, we're eternal. So this is deep stuff. We're racing through it, Adele. But this is, this is my life's work. I'm a soul healer. I do energy work, spiritual crisis work, evidence-based mediumship. I mean, I am an accredited medium. I teach at the College of Psychic Studies. I train. This is what I mean. 27 years now of living, eating, sleeping, breathing this. I'm aware I'm romping people through it.
No, that's fine. I mean, give us an example. If somebody, how would somebody approach it with you? How would they come to you? Would they initially come saying, have I got a soul connection? Or would they come to you for something totally different and irrelevant, and then you go into that?
Generally, people come to see me for a soul guidance reading. So, and then I'm either connecting them in with loved ones and providing evidence-based mediumship. So that's giving them information that helps them to understand their loved ones are still here, that consciousness exists beyond the physical form. But more than that, then I will see spirit guides. I will tap into other spiritual beings if they want to show themselves, be shown that person's soul pathway, the types of connections they may have had. Now, if somebody then has, if we want to say, a lot more gritty stuff going on, because people know when they're having sort of negative spiritual experiences, or if they've got negativity in the field, or what may be seen as spiritual attachments, all that kind of thing, then they may seek out healing with me. And that's when I come together with Giles, who is my twin soul. He's a fantastic energy healer. We pair up and I do the connection while he does the spiritual cleansing work. In those cases, we've been taken into haunted places. We work with people that have had really traumatic lifetimes, where they're trying to work out, they're actually carrying baggage from other lifetimes a lot of the time within their soul field. Working through energetic blocks that have come up. So it is really deep. There's a lot to it, and it can be from as simple as, I've lost a loved one, are they there, to understanding, yes, I'm eternal, I'm on a soul journey, what was my soul purpose, I've forgotten why I'm here, what am I on track, I want to know my guides, to I've got some real deep gritty healing stuff here that needs dealing with, can you help me? Or I've met a soul connection, it's turned my life upside down. They've gone, they've left. I don't know how to live. I don't know how to manage the energy, because it's all energy. I don't know what this is trying to show me. How do I now heal? Or how do I even deal with the, so for instance, with twin souls, how do I deal with the energetics so that we can come into a more harmonious relating experience together? Or with romantic soulmates, how do I live now? Romantic soulmates who lose a partner, because they often do, unfortunately, will be coming to me because it will break them open. They'll understand their soul's seeking that one. And so they often come to learn about all of that and how they can continue feeling that connection, even though the person's not physically here. So Adele, there's a load, and I'm very, very experienced. I've done a lot, from theatre demonstrations to working with scientists to the psychologists, the people working with fraud. I mean, I've written books, obviously, sharing all of this. This is, sorry, I'm not doing a shameless plug here, but this is
no, go for it. It's your newest one, isn't it?
This is my newest one. This is the one about all the soul connections and
Uh-huh.
understanding your eternal soul. Loads of calls to actions in it and tips. My previous book, What the Dead Are Dying to Teach Us, is all about consciousness, mediumship, psychic ability, the science behind it, but in a really digestible way, and
Hmm.
understanding how it is that your loved ones are there and, that we go on,
Yeah.
So put those two together and you kind of got an encapsulation of me. Um,
A
yeah,
lot.
it is.
I mean, why do some people get messages and some people don't? When people go to these events, or they go to seek somebody and they go, "Oh, I didn't get a message from my dad, and I really wanted one, or I wanted one from my mum." Why do some people get it more than others, or some people don't?
Oh, there's a whole host of reasons,
Mm.
but it's always about the energy. Okay, so either that person didn't vibe well with the channel or the medium.
Hmm.
One, you've got to find an experienced, qualified practitioner,
Yeah.
because you might be seeing somebody that's really not that great.
Yeah.
It's not a regulated industry at the end of the day.
Hmm.
But if you do find somebody good, why it might not work then is because either you're not gelling or they're not gelling with those in spirit. It's all about communication. If I walked up the street and I bumped into somebody, I might strike up a fantastic conversation, or it
Hmm.
might be like trying to draw blood from a stone. But
Yeah.
we don't walk away, do we? And go, oh, I wonder why that didn't work.
Yeah.
But
Often people say that they try to make it fit as well. Oh, you can make anything fit.
Well, it's true. I suppose if you're let's just back up a bit. If you're if you're getting generalizations from that person, yes, you can make it fit.
Mm.
But if you're getting specifics from a practitioner, you'll just know.
Yeah.
To me, I say it's like a process of, that piece of information with that piece of information with that piece of information with that piece of information starts to build a picture that you start to say, am I now stripping the chance of probability, or
Mm.
have I gone to beyond reasonable doubt here? And if they're telling you things that you just know are very personal to you that nobody could have looked up or
Yeah.
anything, you'll just know it, you'll recognize it.
Definitely.
Yeah, but you can also have wishy-washy nonsense.
Yeah, I've had a few of them along the way. Not wishy-washy. Well, probably had a few wishy-washy ones, but no, but I know what you mean. Like you were saying about Ivy, there was no way that anyone would know. It was more specific to obviously your nan. I had something very similar with our daughter. We wanted to name her after my husband's nan, whose actual name was Elizabeth. But I said, well, I really like your nan, but I like the name Elsie, so perhaps we should call her Elsie. And then later came to like that actually she was known as Elsie, but her actual name was Elizabeth. But we didn't know
Wow.
that. And I was like, oh, how funny is that? That was her actual name. But everyone just called her Elizabeth. So we like that. And then there was another one when my father passed away. And again, I was only 27 at the time, but one of the mediums that I was working with at the time said, you did something when the coffin arrived at your house, you went to the rose garden and picked a rose and put it on the coffin. And then I said, oh my God, yeah. And then they also said, you also buried something in the ground with your dad. And I did. I buried some crystals and pictures of the family and put it into the ground. And I thought, and that is really specific. Like, how would you know? I went to the rose garden, which he always like planted his roses, and I put that on his coffin and then putting the things into the ground. Little things like you just mentioned, specific things you think, well, actually, yeah, hang on a minute. That's not very general. No, people wouldn't always do that.
Exactly. And that's the marker of it. I mean, I
Yeah.
share a story from a lady called Sandy Rocket. She allows me to share this, where her mother had died, and she came through to me in a reading, and
Mm-hmm.
her mum was telling me that there was a handbag with a ring in it that she hadn't had a chance to give her, and she wanted her to have it. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Sandy was saying to me, no, yes, my mum's in spirit, but no, there's no handbags and everything's been sorted out, and it's been years now. Anyway, I just said, sorry if I've got it wrong. This is what I'm getting.
Yeah.
I don't think that I'm infallible. We do get it wrong. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But go away and test it. Just put it to the test. That's the litmus test. So she asked her dad. He did, in his credit, he went up into the loft even, found this bag right at the back, and inside was the ring.
Oh my God.
No one could know that.
Yeah.
These aren't generalizations. These
Mm.
are the things that people know. It's even like when I'm talking about, I know it sounds crazy, but even when I'm talking about spirit guides to people, which you can't obviously prove that, you can't.
Yeah.
Well, I say you can't, but then people will say to me, "Oh my God, I've had an absolute fascination with that place all my life," or
Yeah.
"I've seen this in a dream," or whatever. It starts to validate to them. They know that. Like I had a gentleman the other day, I was bringing through somebody that was Maui, had a lifetime here that was Maui, that was a spirit guide that he didn't know, but
Yeah.
he'd said that he'd been, just like what you were saying about Elsie, he'd been absolutely drawn to Maui tattoos and had been finding a Maui tattooist to do him a particular, and I was just, that's why this guide's coming forward trying to
Yeah.
blend with you. So it can prove itself to you, but you've got to be open-minded and you just got to explore it and not poo-poo it, not shut it down.
Yeah.
And,
how do you deal with this in your everyday life with, just people you meet in your lifetime? Are you quite open with what you do, or
well,
quite selective of who you speak to about it, because some people
no, I'm totally out there. Do you know what? I couldn't give two hoots what
Yeah.
anybody thought of me. I know what I know. I
Yeah.
also know I don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
I've been down the whole scientific route. I've met all the scientists I could get my hands on that will look at this kind of thing. I'm I have great relationships with a lot of highly intelligent academics. They don't know the first thing about consciousness. I have quantum physicists talking to me. I know that we don't know the half of it, in which case that means I don't have all the answers, but nor does anyone else. So I'm quite comfortable saying, this is my experience. Make of it what you will. I don't care what you think about me. It's freeing,
Yeah.
So yeah, sure. When I mean, in my 20s, I worked at huge corporate businesses. I had a great job, worked in the media world. I worked in advertising, worked at Disney for years. But I became myself in my 30s when I actually started to embrace this. And now, I'm all over social media and obviously done lots of media interviews and been in the press and books and I'm out there. So I try to just be that voice, because so many people contact me saying, I have had this experience and I don't want to be seen as crazy. They're not crazy. This is reality. We just don't understand it.
Yeah. And I suppose, we get so fixated on our daily lives and we're so distracted, and, we got everything that we're watching and reading, that it's hard to connect and to have that, I don't know, being just still and just being able to listen to yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're so busy.
Well, I have a very normal, very grounded life. My husband's incredibly scientifically minded. He's not got a spiritual bone in his body, and I like that because it grounds me.
Yeah.
I'm a mum. I'm doing all the things that mums do. I'm down and dirty with every in the mud or whatever I've got to do. Getting on my knees. I have a very grounded approach to life. But what I do understand is the fear, fight, or flight response that we are being put in all the time in our world, fed through media, fed through the narrative, social conditioning, all of this kind of thing that we inherit from family. It puts us in a fear, fight, and flight response. So it's all about survival. When you're there, you cannot get to a point of relaxation where you can focus on anything else. So sure, if you're busy paying the bills and stressed and worried all the time, how are you going to tap into the wider reality? And we're not taught this, so we don't learn that we need to be doing that for our own well-being. It's only now, after 27 years, this stuff's starting to become more mainstream.
Yeah, and you are seeing more of sort of the wellness side of things, because obviously so much mental health issues are coming to light, and people wanting to even in your workplace I know we did it for quite a while, wellness week, or taking time out, or doing meditations, or getting out in the country, or going for a walk. So companies are more aware of trying to give people that time. I mean, whether or not it lasts or not, I mean, ours lasted for about a week, and then it was like, right, back to work. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a balance, isn't it? You've got to strike a balance. You can't always be like, for instance, when I met Giles and I had that Kundalini experience. I mean, I was desperately trying to ground and be in the here and now and in this world. You know, you've got to be balanced.
Yeah.
Trouble is there isn't a balance. We are all. Excuse my hair. I've just gone all a bit wild there. We're all very, I don't know, focused or forced to look at just this one level of reality. And we think that people are more intelligent than us. So we look to people or put science and academics up on a pedestal. But I love science. Science and spirituality to me are two sides of the one coin.
Yeah.
But no one knows more than you. You are the consciousness within the universe. You're it.
Because I'm spiritual, but my brother's very much black and white. When you die, that's it. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it is on, well, it is on one level. If you want to look at it at that level, that's what happens.
Yeah, there's no reason with him. Like, I mean, I've worked in the psychic world for many years, interviewing lots of people, and you know, I try to have a conversation with my brother, and yeah, he just doesn't have it. He's very much like that. There are some people you just can't get through to them or even try.
Well, they're not ready, and I think there might be a fear involved, or it's just not going to give them peace of mind. That's absolutely fine. I put a TikTok video out that went viral, and basically what I was saying to people: look, energy. We know scientifically, energy isn't created, nor is it ever destroyed.
Yeah,
right? We know that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, your body is absolutely full of energy, that you are energy. And if energy is not created or destroyed, then how the hell are you?
Yeah. You're
just going to transform into something else. I mean, you know, it's there in front of us, but we can't quite grasp it with the mind, and we'll never understand it with the mind.
Yeah.
It's in here.
And I always like to believe, because when my, you know, my son, bless him, we've all been through quite a lot of loss in my family. And I always try to say to him, you know, because when they say, oh, when you die, what happens to learn? I always try to say that, you know, obviously when you die, you haven't got your body anymore, but your soul, your spirit will still live on. It'll still be around us. You know, you'll still be able to tap into that. And that's the way that I try to you know, tell my children when they ask the question, because you never know what's the right thing to say, really. And you also don't want to condition them to how you believe. You want, and you know, even with being Christians and Catholic, I always got told by my parents, you grow up and decide what you want to do. You know, if that's a route that you want to go down, perfect. But let's debate. You make that choice. And I'm very much the same with my children. You know, this is what I believe, but you might believe something different.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
It's like, here's an idea. What do you think about it?
Yeah.
And you have your own ideas, you know, because we don't know it all. But, you know, then at the same time, they're seeing you live it, and you don't even need to say anything. You're just living that truth, aren't you?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's a nice truth, you know, something that's, I think it's good to have that hope that there is more after we go, and, you know, nice things to come.
Well, there definitely is more. I mean, there's definitely more.
Yeah.
Have you ever? Oh, sorry, go on.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, for anybody listening, like I said, if you've ever had a soul connection where you've met someone and you just recognize them, that's your marker. There's your little bit of evidence, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you do your teaching, I mean, there's obviously lots of things you do teach, but going into the soul connections that we've been talking about today, how would you even start doing something like that? What would the course sort of layout be like?
Well, I'm actually in the process of developing something online, basically, to give people the basics. That's in development. But people come to me for, like, for instance, I'm going to be running a workshop at the College of Psychic Studies actually in July on introducing people to what soul connection is, how the energetics work, things like that. Then from there, people who may be struggling might well want to either book in with me to learn more individually, because obviously everybody's journey's a fingerprint of its own, you know, it's unique. And then other times I'm working either doing healing with Giles or with people. So that's when it starts to open out. But I do want to get the basics out there actually online, so people can go, oh, there's the markers. This is how it works. This is, you know, because
what to recognize.
I haven't found anybody really particularly doing this in my field, where they're joining the evidence-based mediumship with the soul knowledge, because ultimately that's what it's all about, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you're providing evidence that somebody has survived and you're giving that evidence, you've got to be able to understand then the next bit is
Yeah.
your soul, you know.
Purpose. Yeah.
So and how and what those relationships are showing you and what it is that you're trying to master within
Yeah.
yourself. So
And it's nice that moment. Oh, that's why. Right.
yeah.
I know. Yes, I do react like that. Maybe I need to change that pattern and handle things a little bit different or approach things differently. That
Yeah, and
realization.
it's sorry, Adele. Just zip me up, okay? I'm like,
No, go for it.
it's seeing things from the soul perspective. Obviously, we can get counselling. I'm not a counsellor. I'm not a qualified mental health practitioner. You still need those people if you're really suffering. But it's people are often not in hold of the soul knowledge that allows them to see the macro as well as the micro, my little journey that I'm doing, so they can see how it all fits together. Then they can release some things, or they've got a new perspective that allows them to then at least be able to make sense of their suffering, even if at the time it sucks and they're in it and that's it. What it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's accepting this is where I'm at right now.
And that's what's nice about coming to see somebody like yourself, is that you're not emotionally involved, because when your emotions are involved, then it's really hard to see clearly what's going on. And it's nice to have that different perspective that you said, or an outsider or a third party.
Exactly. So there's a whole load of things I'll be doing in the future. There's so much coming up for me. So if anybody's enjoying us chatting, come and find me. Come and find me.
Absolutely. And what about your books? Where can they access those books that you mentioned?
So they're on Amazon. They're in all good bookstores. You can just Claire Broad. You can find me.
Yeah.
But I'm doing more videos and things now. So because I think people learn through storytelling, and so also come find me on social media: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram.
Did the books take a long time to write, or was it something that just flowed quite quickly?
Well, that's a story in itself. So when I was 20, I walked into a spiritualist church for the first time, because my teacher had said, you need to come under my wing. And a lady from the platform in the spiritualist church said, you've come to write for the spirit world. And I laughed it off because, like, literally I failed maths GCSE. I'd got about a C in English in GCSE. And I was like, no way. That message kept repeating. At the age of 40, suddenly this book deal just lands in my lap. I didn't look for it. Teresa Chung, who's a very highly well-respected author in this field, she contacted me saying, would I collaborate on a book with her? We became good friends, and that's how it all started.
Ah.
So I've been writing for a good 8 years. And when I sit down, basically, I've been told what to write. I don't actually want to write books. It's not why I'm here. Well, obviously, I'm a messenger, right? It's a one way of doing it. But the spirit world have told me what it is they want out.
Yeah.
So I'm being good. I'm doing what they're asking me to do.
Doing what you're told.
Yeah. I quite enjoyed it, but that's why I don't have any real sort of need to write another one at the minute. It's like doing it other ways.
Nice.
For now.
So lots to come with yourself, as you mentioned, in the future. So we look forward to seeing, you out and about and all your videos and all the other things to come. But how would you wrap up our conversation today with the soul connections?
Well, I just really want to just bring it home to everybody that the love that you have is much more than this one lifetime. And when you can see it as soul bonds that happen, that come together because you're choosing each other, but you are energetically connected, you cannot lose that love. And that love, ask anybody who's lost a loved one, they'll tell you the relationship continues on. Okay.
Yeah.
Because the love continues on. It doesn't go anywhere. It just is. You just are. So really what I want to leave people with is nothing about me and everything about them.
Lovely. Claire, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you so much
Adele.
for telling us all about those soul connections, your amazing books. Good luck for the future, and we look forward to seeing more about you.
Thank you, Adele. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Ask the Answers podcast. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and save to your library. Remember, there are 100 psychic readers available on our website for readings 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. To triple your credits on your first purchase, visit asktheanswer.com and click on the new customer offer banner.